We have Mr. Abdul, member. We have Mr. Abdul Oche, secretary. Mr. Vice-Chancellor, the second committee is the Resource Mobilization Committee, and we have Professor Samuela Usman Dakes, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Partnership as Chairman of that committee. We have Professor Adolfo Elomuna, member. Dr. Stella Adejo, member. Dr. Tijani Ahmed, member. We have Mr. Musa Babu Bashir, member. We have Mr. Aboki Ove, member. We have Dr. Fatima Ademode, member. We have Dr. Comfort Kwela, member. We have Dr. Abdul Salam, member. We have Miss Delwan Oko, member. We have Mrs. Joy Awazi, Head of Resource Management, Secretary. Mr. Vice Chancellor, on this note, I would like to invite you for your remarks, sir.
Director, other deans and directors here present, the members of Resource Mobilization Committee, and the member of Procurement Implementation Committee. Good morning to every one of us. These two committees are very strategic to the operation on how this committee operates. The first is that before any system should work properly, resources must be available, at least adequately. And where it's not available adequately, the little available must be properly utilized. And sometimes it's necessary for us to have capacity building on how to mobilize resources, on how to also utilize resources. And this is to enable us to achieve our objective easily. Then, when resources are available, to utilize it properly, there is also need for us to have procurement plan in place. And when you have a procurement plan in place, to implement the plan must not be done by the Vice-Chancellor alone. And even though we have procurement directorate in place also, but in the university system, transparency and accountability can only play a role when we allow the committee system to work. And in order for us to have effective procurement, we need to also engage committee system in this respect. And our situation in this university today, different units of the university are submitting requests, and some of the requests being submitted based on observation are not even captured in our procurement plan, because there was a time we met here as a procurement planning committee, and we finalized that every unit of the university should make submission. And we concluded our procurement plan without some units making submission as at the time or the deadline given. But recently, different units started submitting requests for different items. And I felt for us to start implementing anything as people are submitting, it's not good enough for the system. And if really we want to maximize the use of our resources, we must also plan how we implement our procurement plan itself. So because of that, I don't want to be the only person to be involved in implementing what is there in our procurement plan, or in attending to requests from various units. That is why I now put in place the procurement implementation committee. And after the inauguration of these two committees today, we can start working. And I felt that one of the committees which we had before is the Resource Mobilization Committee. On my assumption, as the Vice-Chancellor of this university, I consulted and inaugurated Resource Mobilization Committee, and I spelled out their function, or the function of the committee. But I can tell you, I did not see anything done. So, and sometimes we will have a committee in place. Maybe the committee may not know how to function. And that is why I need to just bring a small presentation here today, so that all of us will have the idea of how resources are being mobilized in an organized system. And but before we do that, I will need to inaugurate these two committees first. Then I will make my presentation. And my presentation, which I'm going to give, is just only one aspect of this presentation, or one item I just included here, because what you are seeing here, in 2018, I was invited by a school in Zaria to make presentation to Board of Trustees and Board of Directors. What I exactly presented to them is what I'm presenting here today. The only difference is in the Directorate of Linkages and Advancement, because we have a unit there, Resource Mobilization Unit. And now we are also having in place Resource Mobilization Committee. But I just want all of us to know that once you are a leader in this university, whether as HOD or Dean or Director or Vice-Chancellor, Registrar, DVCs, resource mobilization is also one of your role, one of your functions. It's not left for this committee or the units. And if we are to even extend this, resource mobilization is for everybody in the university. And that is why by the time I will be giving this my presentation, we need to let us know how we can mobilize resources. But before then, it's also very important for us to know what is even a resource. When you say a resource, because today many people just cast their mind to physical items or monetary issues, but it goes beyond that. By the time you carry out an assignment and you save costs, whatever idea or information that enables you to save that cost is also a resource. So those are the things we will be opening our minds to, so that everybody, by the time you look at the different or category of resources you have, you will know where you yourself can play a role. Thank you very much. And that shows we have taken care of item 3 and 4. For creating resource mobilization plan mobilization. Before you mobilize resources, you need to also plan for it. And I've said earlier that there is no activity in the university system that doesn't require plan. Anything you want to do, any activity, any exercise, you have to plan. So, since we have the resource mobilization committee in place, we have the resource mobilization unit, and we have head of units, department, deans, and director. And we say all of us must be working together to mobilize resources for this university. Then that shows we should also know how to plan for the resources. When I've taken the protocol already, it gives me a great pleasure to make this presentation at this meeting of selected and special stakeholders of this university. I congratulate all of us for becoming more organized in our operation. I have no doubt that the individual and collective commitments being demonstrated will, by God's grace, lead us to attain our vision. Looking at the presentation, this is the outline. We have preamble, definition of resource, type of resources, resource providers, what is resource mobilization, attracting partners for resource mobilization, importance of resource mobilization, then what are the major steps in resource mobilization planning, then functions of resource mobilization committee in FULafia, and then we'll now look at the conclusion. And as I said, in this particular presentation, the only thing I added here is just the functions of resource mobilization committee, where I was invited by Darul Academy in Zaria. That was in July 7th, 2018. And the same, please go to the next, the same topic was presented. And this topic was presented to Board of Trustees and Board of Directors of that school. And this is what I presented, which I think is going to be useful to all of us to preamble. All funds or resources are usually insufficient for an organization to meet its needs or implement its plans. There is need to diversify revenue base or funding sources to enable implementation of plans and financial stability in any organization. Resource mobilization plan is a management tool that guides an organization in acquiring all the means needed for implementation of its strategic, action, and procurement plans. Already we have our strategic plan in place, and I know that we are raising funds. It entails obtaining various resources from a multitude of partners or by different means. If you have information on how to get funds from an organization, maybe through another, maybe agencies, you see they are already mixing a lot of things. Information is already here, and then you are using certain means to contact an agency. So for you to attract resources, sometimes you end up using about 3 to 4 different types of resources to get maybe fund or to get a building. So and that is why we said resource mobilization is not just about raising money or raising funds. It goes beyond that. If you try to get information where you can get support, looking for that information itself, you are mobilizing resource. And when you get that information, you now maybe establish relationship. That is also another resource. And by the time you get that, you may carry out another activity before you now reach the agency that will provide that. So all these come together to use. Then we should be able to formulate an independent budget. What the budget we know these days, the one we do for personnel, for running costs, for maybe capital, but sometimes if you mobilize resources outside your normal other budget, you can have independent budgets. For example, last time when JAM gave us awards, we used the money to procure something outside the capital budget and outside what the TED fund approved for us. So if you mobilize resources, you can also formulate an independent budget. Then maximize utilization of resources. You can maximize the utilization of resources. That is to say, you can make sure that the resources reach virtually all the units in the university. Because if you didn't mobilize resources to expand your support, all these are information that you need to get. Then you now come to yourself as an organization. When you are going out to mobilize resources, you don't just write letter of introduction. You write, introduce the university, and then you go and say you are looking for. No, you need details. You have to develop key messages about your institution, producing profile of the organization, and this should include, these are major issues that should be there. Date of establishment, the vision, the mission, the core values, mandates of the organization, because some agency will first of all look at your mandate, and from your mandate they will know whether they have any concern with your institution. So their organizational structure, they want to know how you run your system. Then current activities, what are your current activities? Desired future activities. They need to know whether your organization are really working with planning documents. What are your, because there are cases where some organizations may even say we need your strategic plan. Before they support you, they want to see your strategic plan. So, and it's very, very important. Then the achievements so far, they want to know what are your progress, what have you been achieving, so that they will know that if they support you, really the resources they are giving you is going to be well utilized. Then they may also want to know who are your stakeholders. Some of them will look at the list of your stakeholders and see whether you included their name. Because if their name is not there as a stakeholder, then there is no need. And that's why that's the mistake that some people will do. They will list stakeholders, and the organization you are going to meet, you didn't include them as part of your stakeholders. And they will show it. The moment they look around, they look at it, it's okay, we are not your stakeholder, and why are you coming here to look for our help? So, and that is why the organization you want to meet, to get results from them, must be part of your stakeholders. Because they want to be convinced that yes, you have something to do with them. So existing facilities, what are your existing facilities? And then the staff strength. Then it is very important to make it clear your organization's course, make it known. What is the objective of your organization, particularly for the resource you want to mobilize? What do you want to do with it? It should be well clear and stated for the organization you are meeting. Then the next step is you reviewing and selecting strategies. That is your resource mobilization vehicle. Diversifying funding sources. You have to now look at your funding sources. How many of them are you having? How many do you want to add? Selecting the right mix for the organization. The right mix here will be in terms of who and who to be involved, and which kind of resource do you want to put together for another resource you want to attract. Then exploring various resource mobilization vehicles such as grants, face-to-face with resource providers, direct mail, earned income, gifts, internet, and special events. You have to also choose how do you want to approach your resource provider. Are you meeting them directly? Or you want to just form what we call a special event where you invite them? Because sometimes you may look at it as, okay, instead of us to be going office by office, we can just organize what we call special event. You can give it any name, or it will be a special event. And then you can use the opportunity to invite various agencies to come and attend. And you now plan your message that you want to read either in the Vice-Chancellor's speech or the Director's speech or whoever is going to make address there. So that address will touch on what you really want from those agencies that attend that event. And sometimes, that's why we say these special events are public occasions, that you organize to achieve one of the following. Maybe you want to raise money, or you want to make the organization's cause known to the public. Sometimes you can just organize a special event as part of your resource mobilization strategy. Let people know you first. You organize special event, you invite Central Bank, the PTDF, and any other agency that you know have something to do with you. You invite them, and some of them may not even come, their chief executive may not come, but you send a representative. It is when they come, you now make your organization known to them. So that when they come, that special event may even be the first thing you do to clear, ground for yourself. Because in most cases, some organizations find it difficult to support when they don't know you from the beginning. So you can use special event to invite them, first of all. And when they attend that, you now look forward to reaching out to them. Anytime you go to them, they will remember, yes, they once attended one of your functions. And you can make your request known at that point. So some organizations do this. They will just spend the money, not necessarily asking people to come and give them anything. But they will just use that particular event to make themselves known to other agencies. That will be the first step. And later on, after some time, they will now start approaching them for whatever they want. Or for you to just enhance group cohesiveness and also to establish relationship. You can also do that to establish relationship, because relationship itself, as you say, is a resource. So when you establish relationship, it becomes more easier for you to approach that organization anytime you lay ahead. But the organization that will not establish relationship with, and you are just going to them for the first time, sometimes they find it difficult to assist. So, but if the relationship is already established, I think it is an easy way for you to get any assistance. The next step is gearing up for resource mobilization. You have to ensure that people and system are in place. System is in place, people are in place, and in this case, you must ensure efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency in the sense that many people should be working together. Effectiveness, is to see that the system is also carrying everybody, and you are specifying responsibility, who will do what. That is, in this case, you are emphasizing teamwork. This will tell us that teamwork is resource mobilization. It cannot be done by one person alone. All of us will be involved. Then the next step is monitoring and evaluating resource mobilization, developing a monitoring and evaluation plan. When you are putting resource mobilization activity in place, you must also plan how you want to monitor, to know the progress you are making. And the progress can only be done when you evaluate the level of achievement at any point in time. Then you have to specify monitoring and evaluation activities. To evaluate is also activity. How do you specify who do that monitoring, who do the evaluation? So, and you now identify financial and non-financial indicators. You see, the success is not only in the volume of money you have gathered, it's not in the quantum of naira, but sometimes you can look at how many of your people have been trained, capacity building. For example, you are approaching an organization not for money, just to train your staff. In a year, you can say, oh, this organization has helped in training so number of our staff. For example, the way Telford is doing now, Telford is providing money for building, and not for building alone, for books, production, for even staff training. So at any point in time, you should be able to know how many people have been trained. And that's what we are talking about, non-financial indicator. It could be in form of capacity building. So, but you can also have financial aspect of it. How many volume of money have been put in place to advance the system. Then the next for us here is this committee that we have inaugurated today. What are their functions? What are their functions? And this is exactly the functions spelled out in the first resource mobilization committee that we consider in this university. One, to organize workshop and seminar for management staff on resource mobilization strategies. So I don't know whether that committee has ever done this. What I'm presenting here today is part of this is what the committee is supposed to have done. This is what the committee is supposed to have done. They're supposed to have gathered the stakeholder and the army here today to train them on resource organization strategies, which we have not done. And for the period we have spent 2 years now. So the committee has not done even a single one of this. And it is good for committees to be up and running. Because if you have a committee and it's not functioning, how do they even give reports? And that is why, so far, I don't think there's any resource that we have mobilized through this committee. So I hope the one we've inaugurated today will not just stop at inauguration alone. We should come back for that committee to give us reports. And the reports should be the one that will impress us. So the second one is plan resource mobilization in a strategic and mission-driven manner. The committee should also sit down and plan resource mobilization. So, and what the committee should do is to go to every department in this university. Ask the department, okay, Department of Economics, yes, with your programs, you should have a link with CBN, you should have a link with some financial organization. You list all of them, and then you sit down with them and try to know what are the strategies that can be put in place to reach out to this organization through the Department of Economics. You go to accounting department, you do the same. Go to the industrial design, you do the same. So this is what the resource mobilization committee should do. You have to plan, the resource mobilization. And you cannot do that by sitting down in your committee or in your office without reaching out to every element in the system. So this is one of the issues. And again, apart from even the program you have in your department, you may even have an individual that is connected outside here. And you can use the individual to do that. So I know I use one individual when we finish our Senate chamber, and the issue of electricity is not in the bill. So I called somebody in one of the departments in this university. I said, "You are connected. We have gone to this Senate chamber. We have put together what is required to bring the electricity here. Please, with your connection, get this amount for us." And in 2 days, we got the money. And the electricity you see in that Senate chamber came from the connection of an individual among us. And to my surprise, the faculty of that individual is coming with a request to my office. We do that. And somebody, I will leave my office and call somebody in your department, go and do this. In 2 days, they put it together. But you as the dean, you cannot identify somebody that is connected to bring something in your office. So you can see the embarrassing situation. So, and this is what I'm saying, that apart from your program, the individual in your department that are linked or connected elsewhere can be part of the something you can do. You can put him as part of your plan. So we should not just sit down and think you are in the department as HOD, before you are HOD. You just see somebody, a staff, and you think it's useless. You can't do anything for your department. You are just sitting there as HOD. What's a messenger in your department can do? Maybe you can't do it. Sometimes you need to travel with some of your messengers and see the connection they have outside, where they can go and pick some important things for you. So we should not just underrate anybody. I was surprised. All these people are saying, I know you are connected, go and do this. 2 days. But his team is coming to me requesting for this. So this is one of the things we need to open our mind to every individual in the faculty. Know the capacity of individual. Know the capacity of individual. It can help us a lot. Then we determine the resource mobilization targets and so on that support the educational goals. So there are many of these outside, but sometimes I much on some of these government funding any longer. What they can attract, and it requires some skills which we must develop together. There is no stakeholders mark for resource mobilization. At least the committee should be able to develop stakeholder mark for us. This is the stakeholder that we want to use, and this is what we can get from them, and this is how we can reach them. Then build skill in proposal writing. Proposal can be either for research, can be for community development service, it can be for training. You know, there are some agencies outside there, they are only just to support the training. But you have to approach them. And when you are approaching them, it's not just ordinarily writing a letter, introducing your university and then stating what you want. No, you have to develop proposal. You want to train your social category of staff to meet social needs, and then whatever it will be cost, you can look at that. So it is now left for them to say, okay, we are going to provide you with the resource person. Then you can go with other logistics. So that is why we say we also need to teach ourselves how to write proposal. It's not just writing research proposal alone. We can write proposal proposing that we want to train our staff, and there is a way we can put those proposals together. Then develop and communicate key messages about the university. And this is where it becomes very important. I've listed some of the things that we need as a profile of our university. If you want to meet any organization for support, what are those things that those organizations should know about the university? That is what we talk about, key messages about the university. We have to do that. Then design, implement, and monitor resource mobilization activities. Then you now bring out how the resource mobilization activity should be. You give schedules. That is where you bring out your action plan of the resource mobilization, where you give us the list of the activity, those that will be involved, how they need to carry out that activity, and then you can talk about the dates for the activity, and you now tell us what are the resources that will be required, and who are those that should be met or that should support. So this is how the activity should be designed. Then you identify ways to address resource mobilization challenges. You should know that whatever activity you want to embark on, you should also be planning for the challenges. The challenges will definitely come. So how are you going to now address those ones? So this is also the function of the resource mobilization committee. So these are what resource mobilization of this university should be doing. Those people that were inaugurated today as members of this resource mobilization committee, these are your functions. And I don't want a situation where in the next 1 year will come again, we will not see any of this stuff. Because those that we put for 2 years, I don't know if there's any member here that can challenge me and say, no, we have done one of these, please. So, and there is always a day that you'll be accountable for what you have done. So, today is the day you account for what you have done. Can you tell us if there's anything here? I know some of them are still here. I know there are some people that are members of the previous committee. If you know that what I've mentioned here is you have done it, what is your letter? You didn't do it. So the members we inaugurated today, maybe in the next 3 months, I want to call us again, let them tell us what they have done. Unless we are doing this periodically, people will just sleep and will not attend to issues. There's, well, the most important thing I want to stress here is that training of staff on resource mobilization, planning, and strategy. This is very, very important, and I believe the committee should do this for us. You can train the Vice-Chancellor, maybe if you want, you can even first of all train the Vice-Chancellor, the DVC, Registrar and Post Affairs. And I don't know, maybe I will tell our staff from productivity promotion units, they should look for a resource person that will handle these aspects. Because we need to be in the forefront to know how to mobilize resources for this institution. And I know maybe with the little I've presented here, our minds have been a little bit open to what we need to do. Then, by conclusion, a resource mobilization plan becomes effective when our organization analyzes the existing resource at its disposal and run program or carry out activity on the basis of a plan on the type and quantity of resources essential to achieve the strategic objective. We should also know, first of all, the available resources. We should learn how to effectively utilize it, because utilization of resources that you have, how effective are you using it, is also part of the resource mobilization. So in this manner, strategic plan, state of resources, analysis of mechanism, instrument to use or to receive resources and skill are essential for resource mobilization. Our strategic plan is ready, even though we have not printed it, but I have made copies to guide what are those things. Even though I know there are some departments that maybe either they are not adequately captured in the strategic plan, that will be unfortunate, because if we cannot attend to some of your issues, we should not blame us. That strategic planning committee has been working for long, and it was at the end that I have to now ask them that if there is nobody submitted anything again, we should just conclude. So the final draft given to me, I don't know those departments that are not captured, but if you are not, by the time we start implementing, maybe since we have told you how to mobilize resources, whatever we cannot do, whatever we cannot do, you go obtain it by yourself. I will call you here and clap for you for what you have done. So resource mobilization is considered as a team effort. It's a team effort. You should know that it's not for just small group of the system. It's not for Vice-Chancellor alone. It's not for any dean or director alone. It's a teamwork. It's also an opportunity to manage performance in relation to factors such as attitude, skill, relationship, information, opportunity, and time. All this, we must know how to manage them, because managing them itself is resource mobilization. It's also a set of accountabilities shared by everyone on board. It's also a management process that involves identifying people who share the same values as your organization, and also taking the step to manage the established relationship. So, when teamwork makes the dream work, I want to thank all of us for this meeting. You are all welcome.
Another round of applause for the Vice-Chancellor, please. Thank you too, sir, for the presentation.
So, don't have comments? Any comments? From this side, let me see at the back, nobody. The last row, second to the last row. Okay, doctor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, sir. This was a very wonderful presentation. In fact, it has actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. All these things about resource mobilization. I thought resources was just funds. Not until now that I'm seeing that there is a lot to it. Please, I don't know, can we have access, like myself, can I have access to these slides? After the presentation. Thank you.
Information people, please let people read their emails.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, come to CPC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your presentation. Before we begin to make comments, quite a lot of us here must have gone to some of the first generation universities, second generation, third generation, even state universities. And I've seen a lot of models that are going on in these universities. If you go to the first, or the original first university, like University of Ibadan, where you see a lot of developments. I used to tell the Vice-Chancellor whenever, before I used to discuss with my fellow research development offices across the universities, where Ibadan is one example where you see international organizations running faculties and colleges. Take the College of Medical Sciences there. You go to the community medicine and epidemiology alone is a faculty of itself, being run by WHO and other organizations there, without the recourse to the university's budget or to any of the federal organizations that are funding our schools. The other model is Bayero and ABU model, where as old as they are, if you go, they are dotted with lots of infrastructural activities because of the people in the town and the organizations in the town. Forget about TED Fund, NUC, CBN, and so on and so forth. That is another model. I will tell you where I'm bringing these models. And you go to Unijos, University of Maiduguri, Sanat Zungur, that's Bauchi State University, Modibo Adamawa University, Benue State University, and Gombe State University. You see the second model where TED Fund, NUC, CBN, and so on are doing a lot of structures there. And our model, the baby university that we are, baby in the sense of age, but not baby in terms of function, where for now, we are basically being funded by the federal government agencies. So if you look at these models, it is the people in that university that are making this, that are the driving factors through either their friends or their connections. Friends, like if you take Bayero, some people that are working there, they have their friends that either billionaires, multi-billionaires, and so on and so forth. Say, come build structures. But you have some of my colleagues that have treated some of them, their colleagues in the teaching hospital, and they have made them to come and build structures in the College of Medicine. The second model are those of us that are within the system and haven't had opportunities to work there. Take for example of Oburu, who was the ES of TEDFON. Go and see the structures he has made available for ATBU, for Sarakzungu, the Bauchi State University, because of the fact that he's from that constituency and he has so much worked and brought things for their developments. On the other hand, people that had connection with Central Bank have brought structures to places like University of Georgia. You go and there's a five-star hotel with a conference center that are being built there. Ditto for Modibo Adamawa University and Gombe State University. So it therefore proves the VC right that we can do all those things. I'm coming down here, I'm not giving much order to the deans in my college. And as of now, the Dean of Basic Medical Sciences, I've told him, he brought an idea of having to make orientation, which is a special event. It's very like orientation, convocation, faculty that are doing special events. Like I remember Faculty of Arts did their research exhibit. So when the dean came out with an idea, I said, fine, go ahead. He's got connection with the head of the primary health care center in the state, the teaching of the specialist hospital, and the two gentlemen who are doctors like him are graciously agreed to come and sponsor our orientation of our medical students, which will soon invite you to do that. So these things are very practical. It means therefore that as we are inaugurated, we're given official responsibilities of our various offices, either as members of staff, heads of departments, deans and directors. We have individual responsibilities to look at these special events and see who can sponsor what and who cannot sponsor what. I remember that the last time when I presented the university, the convocation of Nile University, the whole convocation was sponsored by a bank because some of the lodgements of the university had been done in that bank. And they sponsored everything from the convocation lecture to the convocation proper. They set up the convocation arena and so on and so forth. So I think we can do these things. So we must do these things individually through our various organizations, the religious organizations who can bring development to the university. If they build a 5-star church in Federal University in Lafia, it will increase the visibility of Federal University in Lafia and one of the buildings there. So we can do this. Let us put our hands, heads together to drive this business. Thank you so much.
Chairman, sir, my colleagues, good morning. First, I would like to commend the Vice-Chancellor's wealth of knowledge and experience in this area of interest. I was a member of Resource Mobilization Committee under the Directorate of Linkages of Ahmed Bello University. We were able to get a lot of things. But the strategies that we followed, I want to tell you that what the Vice-Chancellor has presented is far beyond what we did. What I'm trying to say in effect is, his presentation has opened our eyes to the details of what it takes strategize, to resource mobilize. Again, I want to thank you for finding us, like committee members, worthy of this responsibility. I assure you that this time around you will see something, because we will not sit down. The fact that you have challenged the previous committee for not doing anything, you have indirectly challenged us to do something, otherwise we will face the same challenge. Before now, as the DBC Research and Partnership, I had started working on developing a database for donors. I have a list here that I have prepared, and when I was told that today is going to be inauguration of another committee related to partnerships, I drafted this. There's a database for resource mobilization. We're going to contact local and international research agencies, foundations, NGOs, donor agencies, available research grants. We're going to discuss with supervisors of our colleagues who obtain their degrees outside the shores of this country, so that we can establish that link and possibly get some grants. We also have a list of ministries and agencies under them, influential politicians, names of embassies, ambassadors, and so on. I have a long list. So what we're trying to do now is to develop a database, like you highlighted in your presentation. Who are the possible stakeholders? We're making a list. I encourage our colleagues in my committee to be up and doing. This is a very important assignment that we must take serious. You recall during the phase of federal government and us, the federal government made a declaration saying that it can no longer afford to fund federal universities alone, and the university management are asked to look inward with a view to generating resources internally. And it will not, the generation of revenue internally will not be by selling of forms and some other mundane activities. Rather, we have to go out and force to get donors from outside. I think I don't need to take much of your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Vice-Chancellor, sir, thank you very much. One of the things that I have realized in this training this morning is that I, as an individual, I am a resource. And the summary of what the Vice-Chancellor has taught us on this morning is based on relationship. We can get all the names of the companies, we can know all the connections, but if we do not establish good relationship, it will not yield any dividend. And the relationship starts with us here. DBC Admin was talking about students of universities, people who are working there. The way you relate to your students today could matter tomorrow. The way you relate to them. There are those who will leave this university and they don't even want to use their ears to hear anything about FULafia. Why? Because of the way they were treated, or because of the way their issues were handled. So we want to establish relationships. We start from the grassroots. We start with interrelationship, your colleagues, the junior ones in the office, the senior ones. we all heard what the VC said. Somebody in a department, in a faculty, was able to, within 2 days. And the people in that department don't know him or her. So where is the relationship? I went to an embassy for a passport and the queue was so much. And then one of the messengers said, Madam, please come. In my mind, I said, they have seen my face, they will reject me even before I get to the place. But I got there and I saw my students. And while others were waiting, I was through and I left. And I knew I was going to have a visa. It's relationship. So let us start from that root. With relationship, the people who meet outside, even when they are irritating, smile. You're coming from FULafia. You have an image to maintain, to represent, so that when we go out to them, they will receive us. DVC research and partnership. I think I would suggest that you also make the university community know that you're compiling such a list of stakeholders. You will be surprised people that will give you information. Thank you very much, sir.
Before the chairman of please, let me just give one information. I know I mentioned it during our get together that just about relationship that she said, for us to know how this works. When I was the chairman of Association of Deans of Agriculture at the Universities, so university do host our general meeting, and this particular year for the River State University of Digital Science and Tech, they are supposed to host us, and it is the Dean of Faculty of Agri here that are supposed to facilitate the process. And if you are to do that, the Dean need to meet the Vice-Chancellor and for them to agree. Actually, what happened was before the date, there was change in leadership of the faculty. Another person took over as the dean of the faculty, and that person happens to have conflicts with the Vice-Chancellor. So he now went to meet the Vice-Chancellor that Association of Deans of Agri, our university has agreed to host their general meeting, and the date is approaching, and we need to put so things in place so that, and I'm not releasing any money for that. We have finalized that is the university that will host us. Only for the day to call me and said, Chairman, it's like my university will decline hosting this meeting. And I told him why. He said the VC mentioned that he's no longer interested in that. So, and the faculty has no that means of hosting that meeting. And I asked, your faculty is how many years now? He told me that you are already having old students. You have alumni, those that pay from the other faculty. I said yes. I said, if that's the case, that meeting will still go to your university. And the only thing I want you to do, try to find out how many of your products that are already working elsewhere that can support this particular. If you can identify 2 or 3 of them, tell them this is what you want to do. And they should reach out to their colleagues to support this. This thing works like magic. One person took the whole of hotel for us. Even the family of staff in his faculty came to the hotel to feed free. The whole of hotel. And one of the ex-students also gave us 5 million. I can tell you, before we even start the meeting, he gathered close to 10 million. Some of them were even working in the NPC. but they are not utilizing them. They are not utilizing them. And these are the people that immediately you mention it to them, they just call about 5 or 6 of them, and they provided all this. The day we are even doing the work, they have to go and grab the VC, let him come and participate in what we are doing. And when he reached there, he was surprised. He was calling the dean, where did you get all this? He said, ask the chairman. And I gave him the idea, and it worked. So some of our products, we should not underrate them. Now we are here, our linkage and advancement director have told them, try to find out where some of these people are. There are some of them, if they actually had pleasant relationship with some of us, they are ready to do anything in return. So we should also be handling these our students with care, with love. You don't know what God has for them in the near future. Somebody may not finish here with first degree, and the position he will get himself, you that you have been in the system for 20 years, you will be surprised what he will be getting. And you cannot tell what kind of support he can give to the institution. But I'm surprised that the way even our alumni relation unit, some of those alumni members, association members that we know that are around, we should be organizing some kind of activity for them. Sensitization. We should be sensitizing them on some issues. Because the recent incident where we allow them to go and do election to elect their officials, if you see the kind of issues they were raising, you know that these people are not ready to promote image of this university. Some of them are saying, look, if you allow this election to hold, we are going to court. At that level, and I say, okay, you people are not mature enough to hold your election. The university will put the ethical committee in place. So when we have another set of products that are mature, we can allow them to do the election. So you can see, instead of them using the alumni to promote image of this university, mobilize resource for this university, they are using it for their own personal interest. What is position in alumni association? So, and sometimes you cannot see their faults. The university need to also engage them in some level of sensitization. And I know the director of linkage and advancement, you are here. The linkage and advancement is not for souvenir production. It's not for souvenir production. Leave the souvenir production for contours. That is it. And we are forcing students, we must buy professional without souvenir. Going to faculty, we allow the deans to think of academic something, we want them to be thinking of how to be selling souvenir. So I think we have lost the essence of having linking and advancement. So these are some of the things I want to see our students, ex-students that are around here or that are within Nasarawa State. We should be able to reach out to them, call them, organize sensitization exercise for them, where we educate them. They need and the relevance of alumni. What they need to be doing for this university, not for them to say, if I'm not the chairman of association, I will take the university to court for us. So this is, but sometimes the most important thing as the university say, our relationship with our students. That is what I want to emphasize. It's very, very important. I know some of us that we are in position today, we know what we have done to our own departments. We know what we have done to our own departments. I know how to solve problem. Instead of maybe my department, maybe you now going to VC, we want to have facility for online, defense, for the or e-learning. Give us that. They just approach two of us. And I said, okay, this one I have. And the other person too is one also. And they put the facility in place. Only for them to call me and say, you are examining a PhD student and you are the best to use this facility. This is how we should work. And we have to expose our students to activity that will make them to love this university more. Even when they live here, they will still remember here and remember some of us that will be here working. And to make our work also easier for us. Because the more the facility you have in place, the more resources you have to attract, the easier your work. Thank you very much. Chairman.
Away history serves us good purpose. I was not a member of the former resource mobilization committee, but I know that a training was done. This present resource committee should still look back at what that committee did and the errors that were therein, and then lessons will be learned so that we don't fall into the same pit. That is all that I have to say, historically speaking.
Thank you. Wonderful presentation. But I have, as you rightly mentioned, even ideas are also resources. And from your presentation, some of the lessons I have taken from the presentation, I want to make some suggestions. You see, one of our major challenges, to be very honest with you and all of us, is that we gather as top guns in a hall like this, make wonderful presentations, suggest ways of making improvements in the system, while being somewhat disconnected from our foot soldiers. And who are these people? As you rightly mentioned, they could be younger colleagues or people who are running with what we call it bureaucratic documents from offices to offices. And one of the suggestions I want to make, sir, if it's going to be taking the committee, instead of us looking at this committee as the only people who will be responsible for mobilizing resources for the university, they could serve as like a hub for harnessing ideas of about how resources could be mobilized for us. The first thing I whispered to my colleague here, I asked him, how many departments do we have in this place? And he said, academic departments. He said, we have 50 departments. I said, wow. What if, sir, we identify your colleagues, maybe lecturer 2, assistant lecturer, because of how agile and energetic they are and their connections, to appoint them as either contact persons or desk officers for looking at ways they can liaise with what people outside, agencies, NGOs, and the rest. And then we also, in the registry will now be one department too, and the bursary too. We appoint these people, and this committee should be pushing these people to ensure that we get something. If by the end of the year we are able, out of these 50, because that will make it 53 contact persons. If at the end of the year 20 of them will give us something, it will be something that we will all come here to celebrate. Another thing, sir, which has been the factor that has been derailing us or making us to be reluctant, or the commitment of such a person. I was with Director Research, and I was telling him that we should be thinking about how to copy the University of Abuja system, where at the end of the year they gather, they say, okay, you, so person, we are celebrating you for doing this, for this game. It could not necessarily be financial. Maybe just a four-size paper and say in your recognition for blah 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 blah, this system, I will clap for you with a plate or something. We must, as a system, also promote reward systems. That will also, enhance productivity and commitment to in this system. And I think that will be all. Thank you very much.
And I know some of us that are around when we did the get together, we actually pointed at certain individuals, certain committee, and also certain units, and we gave them. Even then, the committee was developing a proposal then, but I felt we cannot wait. And then that was why I was so impressed with certain performance. And if we remember, we didn't have a cleaner, that got an award that time. So it's something that we have started, and I want to really announce here that we have a proposal already produced by the World System Committee. That proposal we are going to implement the recommendation about this year. So that people that are ready to contribute to the system will really be happy to continue, and other people will also be emulating them. And identifying people at the departmental level that will be used as contact person. And as I also said, we have to, when we are identifying individuals, let us look at what they are gifted with. Because you should not just take somebody to do certain things. You must be sure that it's going to perform excellently in it, so that you will not just go and give somebody that will just go, maybe he has no manner of approach. You go to one office, you go and start fighting them. So you are there to look for assistance, but you go and cause problem. So these are some of the things. And I've also challenged our Directorate of Entrepreneur. I said they should organize. When I came to your office there, I said you should organize workshop on social skills. It's very important. Forget about maybe whether DC is a Vice-Chancellor, is a chief executive. If I can see, your items of maybe the topic, I can even come here as part of those to the train. Social skill is very, very important. Very, very important. And before we start pushing people out to go and source anything for us, let us make sure that we have that social skills. Because how do you relate? How do you communicate? And it's part of the thing that we want to train our protocol people in this university. There are cases where somebody will go to an organization, maybe he's to spend 1 hour, but he want to finish whatever he wants in 15 minutes and leave the place. Why? Because of the protocol. Lack of social skills among people. And there you go, maybe you want to spend just 10 minutes. You look as if you should be there for another 1 hour because of the way you are being treated. So we need to look at all this. And it's also very important in some organizations. Not just identify anybody in the past, say, who you. Did you know him very well? What is his talent? What is the wisdom in him? What is the manner of communication? So, because there are places that you go, the way people will talk to you, and your response itself will serve as a medicine to the person that is really talking to you. If that person is harsh, how you reply him, you calm him down, and be able to present what you. So we need to study all this critically. But it's a very important point that the committee cannot do this alone. You must look for a contact person in each department, at least to help you in running your operation. Thank you. Dr. Rahman?
an advice for us that are here, and also to see if it is possible, sir, for the slides that you presented, beautiful slide. But I feel there's one aspect of the presentation that maybe you might need to update the slide. How do you, because it's a dangerous world out there, you meet people that are not genuine, and exactly what they're after is to swindle you or to swindle the organization. How can you put a mechanism in place for you to checkmate those people that maybe their sole aim of coming to you, pretending to be what they are not, is something else? Because this environment, yes, everybody is seeing black as black, white as white. But it's supposed to go out there, you might find some people that are seeing black as red and the other way. Because you might meet some people that will come to you, present wonderful structure, wonderful everything, but it's 419. So I feel that when you are updating this particular slide, there should be a section for monitoring and evaluation, or for method and mechanism to check those particular type of organization of people to take their genuinity out of the ID. And for the mobilization people to also be careful and wary of people that are meeting. Thank you.
Look at what I said here. To mobilize software, or the right person in the other organization that you want to meet, or any intermediary, this is the right person. So what you say is right, but I think that aspect has really captured what you have already mentioned. That then the director linkage and advancement, you can see that whatever we are doing here is your directorate that we are helping. So I can hear a comment now.
Thank you, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, sir. Mine is to reassure you of your feeling over the happenings in the directorate, as you mentioned. As a matter of fact, this is an open secret that this directorate was before now mired in complexity, and I think that is what informed to a large extent the change of leadership. During the first meeting we had with you last week, we gave you all the assurance that we will do all it will take us to do to change the directive of this directorate. I appreciate your position. As a leader, nobody wants to see the situation that has placed it out in that particular agency, in that directorate, I mean to see. And by virtue of that, that's why you are taking this position. I want to reassure you that we will do all it will take us to do to change this narrative, like we told you the right time. We appreciate your position, and up to this moment, of course, you are aware, and everybody may be aware of the fact that these problems are still there lingering. But we are working hard around the globe to ensure that we surround it and hit the ground running properly, so as to give the university the desired hope and all the assurance in doing what the university bears of us. Thank you very much, and be assured, sir, we will not disappoint you. This is an award of honor. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that should be the last one.
So I thought my senior brother Professor was going to speak on behalf of some of us who were members of the FULafia committee. But he refused to speak. So I decided to do that. I was in that committee. I want to congratulate you now because you have done a separation that will make the work very clear. In the last committee, the director of linkages and advancement was the chairman of the mobilization committee. And at the point we saw confusion of responsibility. I think for more than 1 year plus we didn't meet. And when we met some few months ago, it was for a briefing and not for a discussion.
And the briefing was how he has made many proposals and it has not been approved. But I remember very well, Professor Payne spoke first and challenged him. It's like you don't understand what you are supposed to do in this committee. You have been asked to mobilize resources and you are bringing proposals to be given millions to do that. No, start from somewhere. When the money starts coming, there will be the one to invite you to come and take money to go and bring more. And I think this is where we missed it in the last committee. It's not that the members of the committee were not up and doing, but the effective leadership was not provided. So I want to say this and then apologize for the failure of the last committee.
Thank you very much.
So, having used this opportunity to commend you for an articulated presentation, let me move for the adjournment of this meeting. I therefore move. Yes, we have exhausted the comments, sir.
Seniors, good morning. I almost didn't want to say a word here, but I'm one person who, when the spirit moves, I will stand. And I also got pushes from my friends around me to say, comfort, you can't be here and say nothing. I felt shy, let me apologize. I felt a bit shy because I got too busy for myself and I didn't get the right ID card strap. So I'm sorry. It's not intentional. The rope disturbs my skin, but I'll get it all the same to be in it. Thank you, sir. On the behalf of everyone. All right, sir. Mine is simple. I felt a bit small, and I know it is not supposed to be so. It's a huge responsibility put on us, and like our colleagues have said, ours is to mobilize men and resources. We will do that, sir. I also thank you for remembering that environment matters in mobilization of resources. And as critical stakeholders that you are here, we will be coming to you for environmental sanitation and what we need to do further to move our university forward. Thank you very much, sir, for all the appointments. Thank you very much, sir. We will do our best. Thank you.
Somebody has moved and she has seconded. Yes. Hello, okay, second the proposal.
On this note, I second the motion moved. Comfort of balance.